쇼다운 T1 대 하나생명 e스포츠.
Doesn't have its ducks in a row either. Not to mention, obviously, as you say, his style is very different from Viper's. So there's a lot of things we've discussed a lot. Important to mention that this week for LCK, Shyvana is globally banned.
Yes. This is the version that isn't as ridiculous as when she did first become released. And so, therefore, we're probably not going to see her anyway, even if she was enabled. So, the Orianna is going to be taken away first as we dive into pick and ban for game number 1 of the LCK. Ignore the fact that it says LCK Cup at the top of your screen right there. That is not correct.
It is a tournament, and there is a cup that you get at the end.
Indeed, there is a cup that is involved at the end of the year. However, that is not what we're fighting for at this point in time. The LCK Cup, I said that it couldn't hurt us, and it's coming back to hurt us over and over again. It's a bit cruel when these are the last 2 teams from that particular tournament. All right, the Azir still going to be banned away, though, especially after his buffs on this patch. Why did that even have to happen? As the Rumble also going to be taken away.
Karma stocks are up since first stand. This pick was always a threat in the LCK, but it has been a larger threat. When we move to our first
an even larger threat to the draft that it has now destroyed, although we can hear it.
We might just be fixing a graphic and then it'll come back because I still hear the sounds. Might just be fixing that cup that you mentioned. You called it out. But anyway, as we move into this one, we'll see what does end up being the priority here. One of the picks that I'm most interested in for the start of LCK, which we saw Broken Blade debut to great success, was the top Shen. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that here in 2026. It's always been viable, but with how AD carries play and your ability to have teleport and then have your ultimate be a secondary teleport, gives you so much side lane power and the ability to defend your carries and empower them as well. As Rise with the Orianna and the Azir taken away will be the first pick here for Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah, and this is actually a big test for Loki as well. Rise still extraordinarily strong. And so looking forward to seeing what the response will be out of the young mid laner. You can see in there on your screen. I really wish I could pull off that color of gray. I feel like I'd just look old if I did it. Maybe it's just like I've hit the time where just gray wouldn't work. It's just a bit unfortunate. I've always thought it looked really cool.
You'll get there eventually, believe it or not.
Yeah, by accident. It's a little bit of a different vibe.
So, there's no Karma here, but they'll just grab the Nico for lane dominance and a lot of engage. This gives Teddy a pretty flexible lane. Now, Namgung was arguably our weakest support. I don't think it's actually not even really arguable. I think it was.
I mean, it's definitely arguable. It's just very easily argued.
Yes. So we'll see how he is looking as well in terms of his current form as they look for the Jarvan now. And
all right.
Rise plus Sivir is a lot of consistent damage and a lot of wave clear, so that deters that. Yep. I don't think Guma will be playing that pick here either. So 2 strong picks that also pair well with each other in terms of engage. Ezreal can get out of the Cataclysm, and it is a pick that Guma has shied away from a lot in the past, but Ezreal Bard can definitely go toe-to-toe with that Nico lane.
And Cassiopeia just snap locked in here by Loki. Looking forward to seeing how that one's going to go. It was always a matchup that people liked into the Rise. Although, didn't see it wasn't a counter pick necessarily. I feel like it didn't always win, but certainly does have some opportunities. And does fit with this composition as well. A lot of AoE CC, hold them in position, throw them in the circle, and get that Pop Blossom to make stuff happen as well. Looking forward to seeing it, as the Bard and Ezreal is an extraordinarily strong lane, so we're going to have to find something real powerful here for Teddy, and maybe some bans could be thrown his way as well here from HLE.
Did enjoy the Ambessa jungle quite a bit, all the way back when he was playing in LCK Cup. He also really enjoyed the Aatrox jungle, but that has fallen off substantially. Still playable, I think, but definitely much weaker than he was when he was first buffed in the jungle. So that is a strong ban here for the Ambessa. Not a lot of engage here on the side of Hanwha Life Esports. They have set up for multiple different types of engage tools. As Caitlyn is going to hit the deck first, taking that one away from Teddy. Xin Zhao will be banned away from Kanavi. I think Corki is probably the one I'd take away here in this final spot for Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah, don't allow for the same item spikes and things like that to be matched pretty comfortably.
Plus the Corki Nico lane does pretty well.
See what they actually do decide to get rid of, though. I think Misfortune is another option, although they will be taking away the Cassante instead.
Misfortune
not heading that way.
Really good in the lane and pairs incredibly well with all 3 of these picks that Hanjin have locked in. So It's a really good shout that you mentioned. With the aggressive engage tools they have, though, the Jhin also works really well and is a powerful lane tool. Isn't going to be the pick that I associate with Teddy in terms of late game carry, but they do have a lot of damage in Loki's Cassiopeia, so it feels very balanced here. But I'm a little bit surprised at this pick rather than the Corki or the Misfortune.
Yeah, I don't like Jhin. Just don't like it. I don't think it's very good. So I'm sad. That is very subjective, ladies and gentlemen. I do need to say that. I'm just a bit of a Jhin hater.
I think people are pretty aware.
Yeah.
You don't have to give the disclaimer.
Well, I mean, it's the beginning of a new season. I have to set the stage for how things are going to go. And, yeah,
Jace,
still a Jhin anti, as it turns out. Jace is going to be considered as well.
When
will be locked in.
When it's Zeus, it feels fairly blindable, but you are playing into a Jarvan. So that is always pretty scary, as he does not have really inherent escapes if he wants to be pressuring that lane.
This is a fragile draft.
Yeah, they need a strong frontline jungler, but Pantheon, I guess, will have to fit the bill. Now they have double globals in the Ryze Pantheon to play through sides.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind casting just locking in a tank and just saying, we're going to team fight, and you guys don't do that all that well. Might be the option. The Yorick is not team fighting. However, does do pretty well in the lane up against a Jace. The Aurelia would be a funny one, as casting having a bit of a giggle about it, but the Yorick will be the decision made here by Hanjin Brion. And
Yorick is also just like one more mini Cataclysm on top of all these other engages.
The Coolie Wall follow-up. Just keep him in the pen. All we needed was like a Viger lock-in or something like that, you know?
On one hand,
we got cages everywhere.
You know, it feels really good that you can lock down one champion really well with those, with linking those together. The problem is that your main champion want to lock down with that is just going to hop over with the Arcane Shift and not really care about it. But, I mean, look, Pantheon also has his shield he can put up. He can survive long in that. It's really just about how many targets Namgung, Loki, Gideon can link together here to set this up. And whether or not the Cassiopeia gets to a late game stage where she is really pumping numbers, doing the damage. The reason I trust Hanwha Life Esports' draft is because of the nameplates. Yeah. It's Zeus on Jace, even in a matchup that can be a little bit volatile, especially with a Jarvan on the other side that can punish you super hard. We know this guy knows how to walk the tightrope. We know he knows how to put the pressure on and team fight incredibly well with Jace. And when you put Ryze in the hands of one of our best mid leaders in Zeka, it feels like a surefire win. Here, a lot of question marks on how the engage is going to work. With Namgung being their weakest player, he has big shoes to fill here.
I would agree. However, it is a robust draft, and I like what the game plan is looking like here for Hanjin Brion. It's just whether or not those ducks, as we were talking about, are actually going to get into a row. As let's get onto the Rift for game number 1. Well, I think I know who won the fan chance, as Hanjin Brion need to raise their voices in game number 2. However, we need to get through game number 1 first in order to make that one happen. Welcome, guys. Here we are, finally back.
It's been a while.
It certainly has.
I mean, even though we had, you know, the first hand's relatively short, it feels like we've still had an insanely long break. It's been about a month.
Yep.
And then even then we had a little break before going to Hong Kong, and unfortunately not all of us were able to be in Hong Kong, so it feels like it's been even longer.
Well, finally we're here, and we've got a laning phase that has begun. Already a little bit of biffo between Loki and Zeka, but I don't think we're going to be too worried about anything occurring too early on, as just Twin Fang won't be quite enough to get the Cassiopeia into a good position. Zeka already drinking some potions, though, as is Loki, so we'll just see who's going to be able to grab control of this lane. So far, it looks like the Snake is doing pretty well. Obviously, what we really want to be looking at is the bottom lane, but we're going to check out Zeus here versus Casting. Casting starting off having a little bit of trouble. Zeus utilizing that range advantage very, very well. And I mean, it's his Jace. He's just really good at playing this champion.
He speaks Korean well, you know. That's kind of the
prerequisite.
Yeah,
indeed.
It's level 2. The Yorick with some jungle assistance can turn this match around, but it will be required, especially early on, as finally do get a look in on this lane. And it's the range supports to really dictate a lot of the pace of this lane and how many of those Qs Gumayusi can weave through. They will get the push through here. And Casting is just going to be eating some shock blasts for dinner.
Yeah, he really is. I think for quite some time here in this lane. Obviously, there are some opportunities here. you need to hit as many morning mists as you possibly can. The more of them you hit, the more likely you are to win the lane. As all right, Namgung does manage to at least land a bit of damage towards Delight, who doesn't hit the Cosmic Binding.
Yeah, Delight walking on that ward, just making it fairly easy to follow up there for Namgung, and ends up being a pretty nice trade back there. Loki really going toe-to-toe with Zeka here in this early laning phase. For those who did not watch LCK Cup, Romer was not able to say the same in a lot of his early matchups.
Yeah, struggling a little bit, you could say, which is largely why we're seeing Loki here in the mid lane to start us off for Hanjin Brionne. And so far, like you say, actually standing his ground. We'll just have to see how things go as the game continues, right? Because that's where experience really does start to trump through, right? This laning phase is the same as solo queue. It's just when you have to coordinate later on, get those macro decisions working, that's when things are going to change. As Loki does take a little bit of a queue here, but otherwise isn't going to be too worried and is still ahead in CS just a little bit.
One thing I noticed, because now that I'm a father, I wake up super early in the morning and I watch a little bit more LCS, actually, because it's still on early in the morning here, so we are going to see a commitment of the Ghost from Zeka.
Yeah.
Is that the LCS team fighting is often very, I want to say scripted in the sense that it's often shot called by the players step by step before the fight happens, and I think this draft really suits that style, right? Where you have the Cataclysm, you have the Cassiopeia ultimate that you can layer on top, you have the Nico ultimate. So if they're able to communicate and set up these fights in a very obvious way, right? Like with this comp, it's pretty simple how to fight.
Yep.
They can plan. Just hold up pre-plan
flash
here.
forward, exactly right. Teddy taking a lot of damage. He'll kind of come out, and he does have to flash to get himself out of the way. Deadly Flourish is decent to offer a bit of damage back, but HLE, they got exactly what they wanted. However, they did invest every flash in this lane, and it's only Guma's barrier that is left up and available.
Now let's see if Teddy can clear this wave. Looks like he'll miss one, miss two.
Does manage to at least get the experience for all of this. That is the main thing, as Namgung does manage to collect that last minion, but it looks like HLE will still have the push here. Will be able to get the crash and get themselves a little bit of a better back.
Yeah, Teddy is going to greed for this wave, it looks like. And it is really, I mean, you kind of have to do this. Because there's no flash for Delight, there's no flash for Guma. Even though Guma's high health here, Teddy feels like he can pull this off. Even goes for the interrupt, is unable to hit it, sadly for him. And we'll clear that. That was pretty massive that he was able to get all of those minions there. Because if he had to back, if Kanavi was down there threatening him and he had to give that up, it would have been a huge win for Honda Life Esports. In the end of the day, it's still a pretty big one, but not as big as it could have been.
Nope. Does go back and get a serrated Dirk, though. Obviously not as crazy as it used to be, but will be a decent first buy as he makes his way back towards the lane. As casting back up here once more with his teleport. Zayas previously teleporting as well. See whether the Yorick is going to be able to get some control. Does have those steel caps, which will be helping a lot in this lane.
It's going to be pretty huge. Do have Gideon in the area as Zayas.
Yeah.
It's going to be introduced to the Maiden.
There's the Ghoulie Wall. Zayas down to about 50%. The Maiden is continuing to be frustrating. Let's see whether that 50 gold will go over to Zayas. It looks like he really wants it. It looks like the Maiden will vacate the area as the wave is going to crash on forward. And down to 120. Be careful.
We're going to have a bit of a scuffle here, 3v3 in the jungle on the bottom side.
Elmwarp does come out here as Namgung in a little bit of trouble. Teddy's the first one to go down, though. His first blood goes over to Kanavi. Gideon also in a bit of trouble as HLE. They regroup, and they will be pushing further forward. This Crab still under control of the Bros, but I don't think Gideon's going to be able to land a smite, and it will be HLE that locks that one down. And now 1,000 gold in the lead here in this early game.
Yeah, without some key ultimates here for Bro, I don't think this is really going to be ever really a favorable fight for them in this scenario with the Pantheon on the other side, and Teddy just kind of ended up being a sitting duck there. That's first blood going over to Honda Life Esports, as well as full vision and scuttle control here on the bottom side. River, watch how this breaks out, because they have the faster rotation in, but they're not able to find a target, right? And then Teddy's just left on the opposite side of this fight, gets collapsed on by Kanavi, and it's just a free cleanup. And after that, there's just not enough damage here, even with Loki coming down with a health advantage. So that is quite simple. Honda Life Esports guys saying thank you for the freebie on this one.
Yeah, just a little bit unfortunate. Great Cosmic Binding here from Delight, but the follow-up not quite there, especially with Gumayushi only sitting on level 5 at the minute. Still, not end of the world here for the Bros, but if this is a sign of things to come, that could be worrying. We mentioned already, the nameplates are what's going to be carrying this one for HLE in a lot of regards. And I think now it is time to talk about the fact that if HLE do get an advantage with this composition,
it's impressive.
It rolls over you very, very quickly.
It really does, because Cassiopeia is so fragile in the side lane, and isn't going to be able to compete with the Pantheon that's ulting, the Realm Warp potential that you have, and the objective step. The fact that they have dragon control early is not a dragon yet, but will likely lead to one, which is also problematic here. Keep looking in at this bottom lane where Teddy and Namgu are holding their own.
Yeah, Teddy going to go golden here as the Tempered Fate does come on in. True Shot Barrage layered nicely here by Gumayusi, but does not land the Mystic Shot, and the damage off it back is decent here as the curtains have been called. Magical Journey does get HLE's bottom laners out of there, but still, Teddy not going to take this one lying down.
Namgung chugged through potions, or his refillable potion, and is healthy enough here. I don't think we'll see any follow-up to this. Kind of a tempoed fate, so to speak, there from Delight.
I like that.
To get lane control. They're going to get this plate. And the Kanavi is in the area with ultimate.
Yeah, Zeka comes down as well. Okay, good night, Teddy.
I think Gideon needed to be a little bit closer for the cover there, but even still, it would have been tricky to defend, and they're just going to let Loki push mid for the punish, but Zeka didn't even have Realm Warp, and they still got out-rotated and collapsed on there. The tempo from the Tempered Fate gave them the health advantage to set that dive up, and what Hanjin will get in return is just a plate here in the mid lane.
Yeah, just knocking down some of that crystalline overgrowth. That's kind of all they were able to do. Gumayusi is completely out of blue stuff, as he will take a little bit of damage from that Blooming Burst, but now looking for a reset. And HLE not going to get punished for that overload of the bottom side of the map. We'll just continue to create advantages here in this game. 1.5k going to be that advantage, and I expect that that will continue to rise.
And it has just been,
unintended,
you know, tempered. Like, our expectations for Hanwha Life Esports were...
You've really got to, like, settle on tempered or tempo.
I know.
Well, like...
Well, hold on. I'm just going to let the tempo of this game go forward here as Gideon looks for the angle.
Yeah, the flash does come out there as the Pop Blossom connects onto only one. Delight having to flash to get out of the way as the Cataclysm goes in, and Gideon goes out by way of the Death Chamber as Gumayusi getting on in there. Not entirely sure about that one. He's taking a lot of damage. They flash to get out of the way of the Tempered Fate, and there's Loki helping Teddy grab that kill. Finally, he does go down, though, as Zeka will be able to finish him off, and Teddy now might be in trouble as him and Namgung just going to have to get out of there. HLE going to take even more names, but at least the bros are on the board.
Yeah, he's like, I can't really kite away. I'll just let the dragon kind of help me get out of here. Wakes the dragon up and bounces his way out. As once again, Hanwha Life Esports just have the better setup here and the better scrapping teamfight composition early on. As we're once again going to see the donut connect.
Yeah, we're just, you know, we have to check in the top lane at some point, right?
Legally obligated.
Yeah, the 1v1 is continuing, ladies and gentlemen, but just not a whole lot to report. As we can see, though, everything very even up there, so that's kudos to casting, in my opinion, just because Zeus is so good. Let's have a look at this replay, though.
And Loki is in position to collapse through here, but Delight flashes away, so he doesn't have an angle just yet. And so, unfortunately, this ends up being a bit of an overextension from Gideon. Guma going over the wall here actually almost cost them in a massive way. As you can see here, the Tempered Fate is going to buy a ton of time, though. Delight really plays this well. Loki gets isolated on the bottom side. They still end up winning the fight, but it was a lot closer, I think, Hanwha Life Esports were bargaining for. And if it were a closer game state, maybe that play from Guma could have backfired in a huge, real, permanent way.
Yeah. Teddy was reloading in the most awkward timing as well during that. As True Shot Barrage is going to spot the bros are doing this. Dragon, they're going to be trading that one for these Grubs, though, as Kanavi up there will be taking those down. Grubs can be important as you do have a Jace, and he does just rip through these turrets.
Good read from Gideon to go straight to the Dragon, so even though they lose the Dragon fight, he died so early, respawned as Kanavi's up here.
Yeah, he does throw down the Ghoulie Wall, but I don't think HLE are too worried about it, as even the Maiden will be falling. Kanavi very happily tanks up the turret, and that is about as textbook as you get as far as a dive in the top lane is concerned.
They got the Dragon, but they are so significantly down on gold. You mentioned what this composition could do from ahead, and it is very much ahead right now. Even with Loki getting so much alone time hitting these plates, he'll pick up a second one here. He's still 500 gold behind Zeka in this mid lane, drops down to 420. After that plate does go over, but I mean, there's just not a whole lot in this composition for Bro when it falls behind, not just because of how oppressive Hanwha's comp is with double global, but we're talking about a Jhin, right? Yeah. It's not going to be able to carry too well. A Cassiopeia who might never come online, and a Yorick who's not really interested in team fighting in general.
No, he just wants to be in a side lane, and now he doesn't want to be in a side lane because side lanes are scary.
And his turret doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. He's still going to die, and he doesn't have a turret. And so therefore, it's going to be even easier. And this is the ridiculous thing, right, about having globals on your side, right? There's none on the bros, and there is Grand Starfall and the Realm Warp. And so HLE, they have full control of this game, and it only gets easier when you can rotate as quickly as they can with those abilities.
I really feel that, okay, this could be something. It's going to be a little bit of damage. I really feel for Hanjin. Essentially, now you have to, if you lose the Herald, you lose the game. Like, you have to get back with Herald, because if you lose mid-turret, they can do whatever they want. I mean, they will ult you with Kanavi anywhere, in your jungle, on your blue buff, on your red buff. They're so far ahead, and they have that Pantheon and the Rise. If they see anybody, they will just kill them, and they can start getting that oppressive vision set up here. And even without Herald, Zeka's now whittling away at this turret. If the Herald goes over to Hanwha Life Esports, I think you could pretty much just kiss this game goodbye if you're Hanjin.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about it. Those 3 grubs working out here for HLE as well. So that plate does go over to Zeka. So as you can see here, pretty linear as far as this gold graph is concerned. So game 1 well and truly in control by HLE. The bros, Hanjin Breon, gonna need a bit of a miracle as we crest this mid-game. And I don't think a Ghost Blade on Teddy is really the item spike that we're looking for.
I'm not looking at items. I'm just looking at R buttons.
I mean, it's hard to look at items when you're looking at the bros at this point in time.
They got some small pieces on the Yorick.
Yeah.
A single stack has been picked up here for Loki, but that means he's going to get more value later, arguably. With
hey, there you go. That's the cup half full right there.
I'm trying here for my bros, but I'm looking at R buttons. When those R buttons are available, maybe they make a miracle fight happen. Maybe somebody overextends. Maybe Hanwha are too grouped up and they get womboed. Because I think that's realistically how you get back in this game now.
Oh, well, Zeka is just going to walk towards Loki. There is a Grand Starfall as well, and the Cassiopeia is dead, ladies and gentlemen. True Shot Barrage was unnecessary, but kind of good as a bit of a cheerleading action. As Teddy, decent sidestep there on a couple of abilities, as Namgung turns up as well. And Cosmic Binding not quite doing too much. As, of course, they're not actually there. It was Zeus that had turned up, and Delight's still off to the side. And Gumayushi just looking to take some pot shots. These turrets are just not long for the world, though. HLE have pressure absolutely everywhere. They're almost 5,000 gold ahead.
They are kind of like wondering if they need to get the Herald at this point. It's interesting to watch Guma also be a pseudo third global with his True Shot Barrage. I mentioned that once the mid turret goes, they can kind of ult any single target because his comp is pretty fragile and does not have a lot of protections, right? Like, it's a Nico that's also squishy, and she doesn't really ideally want to use her ult to defend anybody, but, you know, we saw in that bottom side play, and we'll probably watch a replay of it for Loki. There isn't a whole lot he could do. He's just trying to farm pretty much under his turret, just outside of it, and Kanavi just says, no, you can't even be that far up. His bro are looking to get this Herald. See a TP.
Teleport is going to bring the Jace over. Delight looking to try and start this fight up as the Tempered Fate goes entirely wide. Shape Splitter pretty good as Namgung gets himself out of there. So that will be the Rift Herald going over to the bros.
But they lose the mid turret.
Yeah, I mean, I'd prefer not to focus on what they lose. I'd like to keep it, assuming that maybe there's still a chance. But a 6,000 gold lead at 16 minutes, oh man, it's a tough sell. True Shot Barrage going to soften up Teddy here as well. And yeah, the bros, I would say, are on the ropes. Maybe that's that. I mean, that's what they're used to, right? Well,
sure.
So they'll be fine. They can figure it out.
They're on the ropes, so to speak. I will say one thing I'm happy about. I think Hanwha Life fans should be happy about is looking at Kanavi's KDA, 100% kill participation.
There you go.
He has made a massive impact. I mean,
he's even contributed in 100% of bros kills.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
He's so impressive.
But he has played well through his bottom side, and that is something that, you know, feels like a big positive after a long off-season of questions that we had for this roster. Looking good. Relatively simple with this draft to play it that way, but at least looking good at the outset here, as Namgung is not going to like this exchange. They are going to get the top turret with the Herald, and that's usually when you feel like you're not getting much with the Herald, but at least you got some gold in the coffers. You're like, mid is kind of out of the question. We're kind of trying to defend our mid inner right now, but maybe we can get some money somewhere.
Yeah, getting a few plates certainly going to be a good thing. However, no turrets have fallen down in there, the composition with a Yorick. That is not really what you want to be looking at as you crest the 17-minute mark. The casting is now down there on that bottom side with his Trinity Force in hand, and isn't too far behind as far as farm. Don't look at the money number. The money number is a little bit too large.
What's going on with the Breon Yoriks? You know, we had Morgan on the Yorick. We had Edgar's gone, Morgan's gone, and still casting ends up on Yorick somehow.
I mean, it is a decent matchup into the Jace, in theory.
You wouldn't believe it after watching Zeus play this one out?
We're trying to convince everyone that it is like, it's fine. You don't understand why he'd be picking this one. But as it turns out, Zeus is a different player when it comes to Jace performance and is able to play like... I feel like Jace was never, like, prior to, like, the Zeus era, like, Jace was never really much of, like, a 1-3-1 style champion, but Zeus just finds ways to make it work and is currently taking an inner turret, and no one is able to respond. Loki is up here towards the top side, so might be able to make it a trade, but a trade of an outer turret in top lane as the first turret for the Bros is not exactly worth it if the inner does fall down. Thankfully, it is defended, but I mean, it's on its last legs.
The Jace got it done alone, as now Loki's not even going to get this for free. Okay, maybe he will. Kanavi actually, in fact, uses his ultimate, so he gets even more value out of it, so small win there.
Yep.
But like, the Jace was wailing on this turret by himself, whereas the top turret had been hit by a Herald, and Loki's barely able to get it and get away. He does not have to flash, and Kanavi's ultimate is now down, so some small victories here, but this whole game has felt like Hanwha got big things, but don't worry, Loki's farming over there. And he's eventually going to be a threat. Surely in 4 minutes when that rod completes, you know, he's probably going to go up to 14. Maybe he'll be relevant, as Gideon is in trouble.
Yeah, Tempered Fate does come on through here. It is a Jarvan, so he can flag and drag. That is going to get him out of there. True Shot Barrage is going to do a fair bit of work, though, as now Gideon probably looking for a reset, which means no jungler on the map, and HLE will have even more tempo control.
No Realm Warp, no Grand Starfall available. This is the kind of play that I was talking about where you have mid-turret gone as, ooh, Zeus may have overstepped.
Well, Deadly Flourish is just going to be avoided, and sometimes you press Ghost Blade and everything is cake.
Maybe he didn't overstep, he fast-stepped. He stepped very quickly away.
And sometimes when you do that, you do, like, step over things.
It's the walking strategy we talk about often, but it's the walking fast strategy.
Yeah. And he does have Phase Rush as well.
Yeah, he's got Phase Rush and Ghost Blade.
Just needed to Ghost Blade. Also does have Swifties, and that feels pretty good. The guy is booking it. There is also a Cloud Soul in this game.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic welcome to the Rift for game number 1.
Doesn't have any Cloud Dragons yet, but he likely will get one very soon. He seems really hell-bent on getting that bottom turret, and he's heading straight down to the bottom lane to try to get it again. I just don't think they can punish him. And now these global ultimates are coming online here pretty soon for Hanwha Life Esports. Kanavi's will be up way before this Dragon, but he may even try to use it to get a pick here in the jungle before that happens. Baron has also spawned. Don't quite have enough damage on Hanwha Life Esports' comp to take that one down this early, but can start to threaten a vision game around it as Hanwha do also finally secure that bottom turret.
Oh, Zeka might be in a little bit of trouble here as the Miasma does go down. The Bros trying to collapse to get on top of this rise. He's put into the Cataclysm, forced to flash as the Grand Starfall does come on through. That is going to buy the space to allow Zeka to escape. But once again, that ultimate is on cooldown. HLE just going to utilize that, though, to take this inner turret with absolutely zero response from the Bros.
That Zeka gets out there. The Petrifying Gaze completely missed, if I'm not mistaken. He just completely whiffed it. And Zeka's like, cool, I'm out of here.
Well, the Realm Warp, he is definitely out of there.
And so they get away completely without any real cost. I mean, sure, Zeka's down his flash, but 7,000 gold ahead. He's ready to get in their faces and kill them. I don't think he's really going to be threatened unless he's in a side like that. And even when they found him in a side like that, he still gets away. And that's a bit of a yikes for Bro, because that was a cool opportunity that just really shouldn't have even necessarily happened. They were trying to capitalize on a rise out of position and couldn't even get that.
Yeah. All right, well, the Bros doing their very best to try and find some sort of positive here in this game and really struggling to do so. We're moving up towards a 7,000 gold advantage.
Loki, he's about to get one more level.
Hey, true.
One full XP bar.
And he did quite recently transform his Seraph. So he does have that 2-item spike that is almost actually the full 2 items, which is very, very cool. Unfortunately for him, Zeka does already have those items as well and is almost actualizing, which is scary, to say the least.
Yeah.
And it feels like HLE just kind of everywhere on the map. Right now it is a Dragon being taken here by HLE. Level 16 for Zeus is very scary, and Kanavi will be locking that one down. So, Cloud number 1 going their way. Thankfully for the Bros, they did manage to take Drake #1, and so therefore the Soul is a little further than it otherwise would be. Next one going to be Soul Point here for HLE if they are able to lock down the next Drake. But I'm just a little bit worried because the insurance policy just isn't quite there. You know, you were talking about it already, like Teddy known as being that fountain laser, you know, the guy that had the most CS that any man has ever put together in a single game ever.
Imagine if the fountain laser could only like zap for 4 intervals and then had to reload.
Yeah, I didn't see that in the patch notes. But we do have another Tempered Fate coming on through. Decent double knock up there as Namgung looks for the pop blossom, but only lands it onto 2. And the damage is just gigantic here from HLE. It is still Loki able to get something done though, as Zeus is able to finish off this Nico. The curtains have been called, but for whom is the question? Zeus not going to get poisoned this time around. The miasma goes down, but there's not really too much here. And Zeus just wants to kill Teddy, and he'll be able to do it. He might pay for it with his life, as casting is at least able to take down his opposite number, but not before he just eradicates almost the entirety of the Bros.
This is once again Bro trying to set up their ultimates, trying to look for a scrap here, but they are just simply too far behind. Watch how this starts, because Gideon looks, you know, air quotes like he's caught here, but he actually instantly engages, and Loki's in position to follow up. So initially, this looks like, okay, there's kind of something in this for Bro if this is a closer game state. But then Teddy is just trying to help peel for his teammates getting out after they realize, okay, there just really isn't anything here. Looks for the curtain call to help get his teammates out. Doesn't hit this one onto Zeus, and then Zeus is like, all right, with Realm Warp coming, this is going to be a easy cleanup. Goes forward onto Teddy, takes him out here, and the rest of his teammates collapse in. And even though he eventually dies, slowly and painfully there, the damage had already been done.
Yeah, and he almost avoided the damage from that Petrifying Gaze as well. And if he had have been able to move that little bit further north, then it could have been even worse for the Bros. They wouldn't have even been able to take him down, and it would have just been a disaster. It's still a disaster, but it could have been worse, and that is almost worse to say. 9,000 gold is the lead we're approaching here for HLE as we crest the 24-minute mark.
Namgung is just trying to activate the Merc Tread shield. He's like, all right, well, I got something.
Yeah, there you go.
It's on cooldown.
That's what we're going to have to be looking for here in this particular game. Loki's
got some extra mana.
Hey, there you go. Sapphire Crystal. Very cool. I wonder if it's a real one.
It's rare to see that item, you know, in an inventory on a graphic.
How expensive are sapphires? I don't know. Oftentimes it's like it's diamonds or bust, isn't it? The other ones are all like not crazy. I don't really know much about the gem prices. As Baron is just down to 50% basically as they look at it. It is just gone. There is nothing that the Bros can do about it. And now HLE just going to look to utilize it to push down more of these turrets. Namgung is out of there. Not a whole lot of opportunity, but there is Gideon going in. Looks for Zeus, who does take a fair bit of damage. The Ghoulie Wall not doing too much of anything at all as the Aegis going to be keeping Kanavi alive. Zeus looking a little worse for wear, though, as now the Pop Blossom comes in. It lands only onto Zeka, and it looks like he didn't even really notice. He just takes down Namgung. Now Delight is going forward, but is going to have to back away. The Grand Starfall goes in. The Ghoulie Wall is down. And can they get rid of Kanavi? That's the question. The answer is yes, as Loki's taken out as well, and Gumyushi taking matters into his own hands. Teddy has the barrier, though. That is going to keep him alive for the moment. The Morning Mist coming on forward there as Gumyushi is going to get taken down, and Teddy gets his revenge. I just don't think it's going to be enough to be able to win them the game.
It might defend this Baron wave.
There we go.
That's step one. But man, that's the Kanavi I know. Zeus gets caught again.
All right, here we go. The Yorick and the Jin synergy is not quite working as the Meep slaps are flying forward. Delight, unfortunately, just doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. So he is just going to have to get himself out of there. And it is a successful defense by the Bros.
Yeah, it was Zeko who got caught there, not Zeus, of course. I misspoke. But the setup is actually like, watch this. This is actually really cool how Bro play this. If this is an even game state, I think they clean up on this. Like, Gideon goes in initially. Obviously, this is a little bit silly, but it gets a lot of damage to Zeus done. So he doesn't have his Cataclysm anymore, but they can kite back because they have a Jin. And the way they slow play this is actually pretty beautiful. And the Hanwha Life Esports kind of end up getting caught one by one, like dismantled and picked apart as Delight also goes in, eats a bunch of damage, and then this is the Kanavi moment where it's like, this is the Kanavi I know, just goes straight into the Yorick Ghoulie Wall. And he's so far ahead that he still gets the damage done. It's still worth it here, but a little bit messy, a little bit scrappy as Teddy just kind of breaks Guma's ankles on this one. Not sure about this, but the game state is the way it is. You know,
I've had those Ezreal games, you know, where like, I just need to hit a Q and he's dead. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out.
Skuma's first death of the game.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I mean, they're still 10,000 gold ahead. It doesn't matter at all. As Loki is up towards the top side of the map, just seeing whether he can get any sort of consolation prize, is going to be utilizing the Tempered Fate as an Ohm Wrecker for a moment. Bit of a shout out as doesn't really do too much. Still, Zeka is just splitting in this mid lane, able to take down this inhibitor at a whim if he would like to, and the rest
Loki's
of HLE.
Still farming.
Yeah, he is. And I mean, he might be able to get some bounty gold from that turret. It's just unfortunately going to be maybe in exchange
Hold the Nexus!
for the Nexus.
Hold the Nexus, hold it a little bit longer. I'm going to get this money. I'm going to get you guys some cash.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe it's going to be Teddy to complete an Infinity Edge. Maybe he's going to be able to do
he stops the back. He stops the back. He's going to get that money.
Yeah, we need that money. We need that bounty money. And HLE, they're going, we canceled the back. Zeus is not going to be stopping this Cassiopeia from getting that bounty money. There it is.
Kuma's got this wave under control.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so Soul Point going to be picked up here by HLE. And we do have 2 inhibitors down on Hanjin Bri on the side of the Rift.
Overreact.
Okay.
Or say there's a chance or have any broptimism.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't.
But it kind of feels like the game is...
Wait, are you saying that you're not going to do those things and you're just going to now transition into doing those things?
I'm just saying, like, the game feels like maybe Hanwha could mess this up. Like, if they really make 7 more mistakes in a row.
I was expecting you to say winnable, and I'm like, you know what? I don't agree.
No, losable. Like, I'm not saying it's losable.
Okay, I see it.
If the game continues at this trend, you know, maybe
it may not necessarily be winnable on Bro's side, but it possibly could be losable on HLE side.
We have seen some big throws this year already.
Losability has certainly been figured out. That is very, very true.
I give him like a 0.2% chance of losing.
Oh, man. That is not good odds. All right, Grand Stuffle is going to come on forward here as the inhibitor should be taken relatively quickly. Kanavi kept alive here by Delight. That was a cute little play there as he looks to continue moving forward. He's got a GA, so he has an extra life. Anyway, as the curtains being called here by Teddy, and Kanavi's like, well, I'll just stand here and it'll be okay. It is going to stop him from moving ever closer to the rest of his teammates, but the curtains will have to come down once again. And HLE, now with a fully destroyed base of the Bros to play with, they're just looking for some Nexus turrets to finish off this game. The siege is actually quite decent here from HLE as well, even though they don't necessarily have a true frontline. They do have a lot of poke, especially with Zeus here and Gumayushi, so they can just keep firing things forward.
The super
Bros,
minions,
they have to do something.
Super minions are coming in, double here in the bottom lane, and once those start syncing up, Bro just cannot leave the base. Defending the base itself is a challenge.
Wait a second. I remember this.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy, you know, he's starting... I was going to mention it.
He's not playing Sivir this time.
Got
though.
his
He's
IE.
playing Jhin. Half the time he's trying to kill these minions and he's reloading. He does have the IE though, like you say.
Actualizer is done for Loki.
Uh-huh. Actually a chance?
The problem for Hanwha Life, which is not even a problem, like what has caused this game to continue, let's just say, has been they haven't really fought as a 5-man unit together. They've been kind of trying to hard force in little pieces.
Gold graph has stagnated.
Small dent, yeah.
There you go. It's still gigantic. However, as the game goes, that 9,000 gold lead means less and less.
Yeah, when we get to 60 minutes in this game, we'll be like, oh, remember at 30 minutes when they had a huge lead?
Yeah.
That'll be what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're going to be talking about, Wolf. We're not going to be talking about Game 2. We're not going to be in a break. It's not going to be the space. No. It's 60 minutes, 30 minutes from now, 29 minutes from now. We're still going to be in the game.
I look forward to the 60 minutes interview with Loki.
Exactly.
How did you do it? What was the comeback angle? I heard you were farming for 30 minutes.
Is it anything to do with having cool hair? Did that help you? As the Grand Starfall comes on in, as Teddy will be able to hold Kanavi in position, as does Loki with that miasma. And so Kanavi just going to have to walk away. Is going to be able to do so successfully, though, as the Tempered Fate is going to block a bullet or two.
I see the numbers on the screen. They say Hanwha is winning this game. I see the champions, and I'm a little bit less convinced, but the minions, I think, may just finish the job, Atlas.
Yeah, those teammates are the ones doing a whole bunch of work here as Gideon going to have to get the heck out of dodge. Zeka now possibly in trouble, but Teddy in more of it is he's just going to get executed here by the Rise. Kanavi dives forward once more, and he's still got that GA. He's going to utilize it as Namgung does go down, but now the Nexus is bare, and HLE will discontinue playing with their food and win game 1 of the first series of LCK 2026.
For team fighting, where I was like, what if Teddy was on a real carry? You know, there was some moments where I was like, what if Loki had agency in this game?
Yeah, as soon as Jin is locked in, I'm thinking about that every moment of the game. Thankfully, it's Fearless, baby. We're not going to see Jin ever again in this series. We might see it in the next one, but hopefully they were watching this one, and the telecom war is not tainted
on one
by
hand,
Jin.
Guma's really good at Jin. He can't play that for the rest of the series.
There you go.
진 한번 올릴게. 바텀 내가 쓰면서 해볼게. 넓게. 니코 풀공 조심. 나 미칼 없다. 얘네 앞으로 질러야 돼. 포킹하자. 한테 가이네야. 빨리지 마. 파워 치면 끝나고. 진이야 너무 많은데? 말 안 된다.